Alright, so it's about 4 in the morning. I don't have a shirt on, but I just had a thought and I wanted to share it with the world, and so I hooked up my video camera a while back, and so I could just blur these thing out there, and it might not come out so smoothly, but at least it'll be out there and people have interest in it, they can get it. And so the thought was about how sometimes we have specific things in our lives that we have a negative point of view on. And when we look for ways to sort of shift that, what we tend to do, and what others tend to advise us to do, is they kind of focus on the positive more. And so we kind of have this specific negative over here, and then people talk about a general positive way of looking at it. Just a way of oh, maybe it's, maybe that person's not mad at you, maybe they just had a bad day. Or, it's really awesome that they can say those negative things to you, because that means they must really trust you to be able to hear hear those sorts of things. And but meanwhile, so what we do is we sort of have our negative specific situation that we still resist, and then there's a general positive situation or general positive beliefs that we start to develop. And what happens is that we stay with that general focus for a while, but then when the specific negatives come back into our life, then we jump right back into that specific negative chain of thought. And so what I'm talking about is building up that specific negative into a general negative, where it's still sort of focused on unwanted, but it's not that specific thing anymore. And so you can begin to see that. So when you look at that scenario, you can see that specific scenario in a way that's much more generalized. So, for instance, I just got in, just had sort of an argument with my girlfriend about how I was seeing her as focused on she was like bringing up a painful memory or something, but the memory wasn't painful to her. I just assumed it was. She was talking about how having a dry socket after having a wisdom teeth pulled was more painful than childbirth. And to me that sounds like something that, why would you even activate that? That sounds like a whole bunch of stuff you don't want. But she was in a place where none of that bothered her because it wasn't really a threat to her, and so it didn't really matter that she brought it up. But I was viewing that as she's focusing her thought and creating her energy on all this unwanted stuff, and because of that she'd then have to deal with all this unwanted stuff, and then she'd be more stressed out about this, and then it would just lead her astray, and seeing it as like a lack of progress in how she's improving or whatnot. As I'm striving to improve my focus and to learn how to be more deliberately focus on what I want, and to be able to believe in things that I want and things along those lines. And I saw this as sort of a step in the wrong direction for her, something along those lines. Meanwhile, for her, it was just sort of oh look, I'm not bothered by this at all. It's just kind of a funny story relating that. And so when I was able to sort of generalize and recognize that so it was a specific story, and when I was able to generalize that and to say that, okay, it's no longer about the story, it's about my viewpoint on it is now I'm seeing this a certain way, and she didn't even have a problem with it. And so I'm understanding that now, rather than being this specific thing with a specific story about unwanted things that are going to be created in her experience, which are thus then going to be in my experience because I live with her, I went from seeing it as, okay, it's my focus on her in a certain way, and I can shift that. I can begin working with that. And so changing the story from the specific unwanted to a general unwanted. I generally do not want to focus on her in that way. It's very different from when she focuses on that way, it creates all this unwanted here and here and here and causes these negative, it's a very different focus. And the magic of this is that when I take the time to shift that from a very specific, she does this and these consequences happen and I don't want those consequences, when I shift from that to, okay, I just want to shift my focus. I want to be able to see that differently. The consequence, the same chain reaction of this leads to this doesn't occur, and because of that, the problem is so much more manageable. So, in closing, when you have a specific problem and you think that the specific thing is going to lead to this, to this, to this, see if you can generalize that specific problem into something like, okay, I want something and I don't believe I can have it yet. And that's so much more manageable. It's so much more manageable to make it about that and to make it about, it's that simple. It's that simple. I want the specific good thing to happen and this specific bad thing is in my way. That and because that specific bad thing is there, you can't talk yourself out of seeing it when it's there. And when you see evidence, it's going to trigger that. But if you can make it about, okay, I want something and I don't know how to achieve it yet, so much more general, so much easier to handle. And when you do that, the next time that the specific negative evidence comes up, what it will trigger, or what it's more likely to trigger, is to remind you, okay, I just want something and I don't know how to have it yet. And when you do that, your propensity to be in a place where you can align with what it is you're desiring goes way up, because you're not going to be, it's like you don't fall deep into that hole the way you used to, because you took the time to raise your default point of attraction around it from one of, oh my God, this is an unsolvable problem that is specifically going to lead to all these unwanted things, to, I just want something and I don't know how to have it yet. And it's okay to do that. And you know from past experience how you've wanted things in the past that you didn't know how you'd get, and you've aligned with them. And so this too can follow that path.